consider changing the operating protocol for Warragamba Dam to, allow more water to be released, give it some flood mitigation capacity beyond the plans to extend the wall by 14 metres?
Well, the issue is it's a water storage facility. It's not a flood mitigation dam, and that's the challenge. Warragamba was built to store water and provide Sydney's water supply, not to prevent flooding. And that's why governments have been looking at options of whether we raise the dam wall or not, and that has its own challenges. But and that's been a long-standing issue. But I do say this, that we have no issue whatsoever with whatever recommendations, whatever findings come in relation to this. And I made these comments similarly after the bushfire catastrophe. You learn from what has occurred and you make sure you make appropriate change to prevent in the future. But sometimes, no matter what you do, you can't prevent the heavens opening, or you can't prevent certain circumstances which combine to create something very different, and the likes of which we've not seen before.
It's time, Premier, that we spoke with two hydrologists yesterday, and they both say it's time to start moving people off low-lying flooded areas. We've been seeing Governor Lachlan Macquarie talked about problems with people living on low-lying flooded areas in the Hawkesbury back in the 1800s. Is it time the government thought about purchasing those properties and moving communities to higher land, like we saw in Grantham in Queensland in 2011? Because this will only continue to happen into the future.
Yeah, well, firstly, can I state that our government put policies in place to ensure that no further development occurred in anything below 1 in 100-year flood events. But obviously, parts of those communities that have experienced flooding are very historic and have been around for, some properties have been around for 100 or 200 years. So clearly there are big challenges and issues there, and some people may not, I mean, they're personal choices as well as to what people do and what people think about in the future. But as I said, we're open to consider any findings and any recommendations that are presented to us.
To you on that, but some of those lands, that land has changed out in the Hawkesbury in particular. You've got urban infill, which has dramatically changed the runoff. For instance, in McGrath's Hill, the runoff is far different to what it used to be, especially when I was a child. Communities out there are frustrated that what they once believed were 1 in 50-year flood heights or once were 1 in 100-year flood heights have dramatically changed because water from hard roofs is going into creeks and elevating water levels much faster and much more dangerously than previously.
Well, look, I think that's a fair statement, and I think they're all issues that we need to look at post the clean-up. The recovery will take some time, but I think once we make sure that everybody is safe and that the clean-up is well and truly underway, that these are questions we should answer, and these are things we need to look at into the future. And if we do care about lives and property into the future, which absolutely we do, we should be open to learning what we can and to making some decisions about what is safest for communities moving forward.